I'm Apollonia. You may remember me from Purple Rain as leading lady to Prince, or from my band Apollonia 6. I've starred in films, TV shows, and I've been on the cover of magazines all over the world, including Playboy. I was also an LA Rams cheerleader. I'm going to take you with me. Welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6.
Yeah.
He was very complex.
This Gemini.
So, but that worked for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, until it did.
It didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I want to set the record straight. I knew that there was no one else around. Like I would, a matter of fact, there at one point I was like, "Are you sure you would? You may want to be talking to these other people." Mm-hmm. And he was, "I'm going to do that." And I was like, "Because I'm not that girl.
Yeah.
I'm not a homewrecker."
Yeah.
Wow.
And I even knew that then. As a young girl, I was like, "I don't want to be that girl.
Yeah.
I have no interest." And then, unfortunately, you just put in those situations where you get the hairy eyeballs from everybody, and you're like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here? I want no part of this."
Yeah.
And it was constant.
Yeah.
Like the drama. I just didn't want it. I still don't.
Yeah.
Still avoided
Drama
it.
from other females.
Just drama from other females, and then you'd hear about things, and you'd be like, "Wait a minute, I want that. I want." Wait, I'm out. I'm out of that one.
God.
Yeah.
I felt that way too. Being a leading lady, we never dated.
Right.
Being a leading lady, and it was so difficult, just doing my job as an actor, because of how difficult it was on set. But then I didn't realize that Al Magnoli had directed the girls treat her like shit throughout the production. So I was horrified. I'd go to my room. I was like, "Oh, everybody's so mean." And finally, one day, I, just fell apart in front of Prince. I said, "I'm just an actress. I just want to make this movie." That kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, 'cause everybody was, but, you in a relationship, I can't imagine how difficult that must have been,
It was hard, particularly when you don't want to be a part of that kind of drama. When that is anathema to you, when you don't, you don't treat other people that way, and to then be treated that way, that was just, I forced majeure in a way, like I just wanted no part of it, and just ended up being like,
it's unacceptable,
yuck. And he wasn't great about making sure that okay, you can't do that. He wanted to keep everybody where he wanted them.
That was his thing.
Well, yeah,
control.
that's a part of the
control.
Yeah. That's a little bit of the puppet master that
Yeah, man, that must have been tiring to have been, doing that with every, Susannah, Lisa, Wendy, Apollonia, Denise, and then the boys too, because he was there with the boys.
Everybody, it's equal opportunity.
Yeah, so
I know that just from my mother's situation with Parliament Funkadelic. George wasn't any different. It was the same
incredible
kind of scenario. It was just,
but that's where Prince learned from.
George. George Clinton and Motown, and it's all the same thing.
Yeah, no, I used to sit and watch with him, and we would sit and watch the Tammy Show ad nauseum. Prince would watch those videos that was the way we look at Google now, and it was sitting. As a matter of fact, so funny. I saw your tape,
my audition tape.
Your audition tape.
He showed it to you.
I was with him.
He showed it to Susan and Brenda, and I think Jill had to see it too, right?
I don't know.
No, he made Susan and Brenda see it. They had to approve.
He said to me, "What do you think of her?" And I said, "She's fantastic." He goes, and I said, "She's spunky. Yeah, she's spunky. I love her." And he was like, "I think she's the one."
Thank you.
So
I like spunky. Because
it was so different than of course, there was a similar aesthetic because brown skinned beauties with black hair and brown eyes, and beautiful, right, and talented, but you weren't dangerous. There wasn't something that was sort of there wasn't the viperish and black widowish. And that's not to say that Denise is a bad person, but Denise had that danger to her.
Yeah.
Like, you knew that there was something so incredibly mysterious and powerful about her that you didn't know if you could, like, what you were dealing with there. You were like, you got what you got. Like, that was
like a puppy.
Exactly. You were like and spunky and ready to do the work and capable of doing the work. And he was super excited about that. I mean, I remember perfectly being up in that bedroom in Beverly Hills, and he popped in that VHS tape.
Oh.
He was like, here she is. I was like, she's great.
Wow. That's so cool. See, that's going to make me cry. Wow.
Did you not? Well, you knew that Brenda and Susan had seen the tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw it too.
Wow. Thank you so much.
But I used to watch, we'd sit in front of, there'd be tapes all over the place. But Tammy Show was, he'd watch Sam Cooke and he'd watch everybody doing, James Brown and Terry Terrell and all of these, like, just watch how everybody
studied,
worked those stages.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, what a great student he was, right?
Yeah.
But you taught me the similarities between George and your mother and Prince.
Well, yeah, I think with the proteges.
Yes.
With the proteges. And then there was I think the difference with George and Prince was that George never wanted to be the bad guy. He always had people to be the bad guy. Right. You know what I mean? He always had managers to be the bad guy.
Prince had no problem.
He had no problem saying.
No, he was like, I'm the boss.
I'm the boss. I can say
whenever I want.
That's right. Yep. This is my shit. I think with George, it was more kind of like, oh no, we'll get it handled, and then he'll send somebody else in to tell you.
Actually, I've got to take that back. I don't know what he was like towards the end and what he was like with his band members then. I just know what my experience was at the time.
Yeah.
He would just be like, has no problem. If you felt bad, tough.
Yep. Tyrant.
Too bad.
I think in his later years, maybe, he softened up a little bit.
I think so.
Seeing him with Third Eye Girl, they performed at Paisley just one night. Nobody was there. And I got to see them perform. They were all fixed up, right? And
it's amazing.
2, 3 in the morning. Wow. And he was compassionate. I watched him. At one point, he turned around, right? And I just did this. I went, shh, to the girls, right? Behind his back.
Right.
And he turns around, and I was like, just was like, I did, it was like, oh, look over here. He didn't see what I was doing, but he was really just passive. Right. He was different. And I was like, ooh, he's older now. He's kind of nice now. He was always nice, but not the way that we knew him back in the 80s.
Right.
Where he was tough.
He was tough.
Tough. You're fat. You're getting fat. Stop eating. What did I do? I had my driver, Philip, bring me a pizza to my room. And we had pizza together in my living room. He says I'm fat. What did I tell you? Yeah. I just said it earlier. I went in front of the mirror. I took my clothes off. They're in my hotel room at the Holiday Inn. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm not fat. I look really good. Because I used to do my crunches in the room. I had all my rubber bands back then.
Yes.
I turned around. I was like, it's really high up my ass. He says I'm fat. So yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got it. I was like, oh, that's what he's playing games.
No, see, he used to do things like that all the time. Like he felt that like that was the thing that was going to make you feel like, no, you can't. I'm not fat. Watch me. I'll show you.
Yes, exactly.
He thought that
reverse psychology.
Like he liked competition. He liked to say, when you were singing a vocal, he would say, so-and-so can sing this better in one take. Mm-hmm. You want to be that way? Mm-hmm. And then instead, someone like myself, I'd be like, how can you say that? I'm not her. I would never sing it like her.
Yeah.
But that was his way of saying, don't let anybody be better than you. Mm-hmm. Show them what you got. Mm-hmm. But as opposed to saying, show me what you got. It's going on tape. Right. Let's get it. Do it. You can do it. It was, you can't do it. So and so can do it better than you.
Yep.
And you've got 5 minutes of my time.
Yep.
So, and for him that worked because he loved competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second somebody was at all good, he was like, I'll show you I'm better.
Yep. Control.
That was his way.
competition.
Wow.
But it didn't work for me. I mean, it was like he asked me at one time to do a vocal, and he said, now I want you to talk about the worst experience you've ever had, ever in your life. And I want you to talk about it like you're reading a story to children.
Oh, man.
While I had hair dye in my hair, like with like that, back in the day, we used to use cellophane, Sebastian
Yes.
cellophane,
Oh, yeah.
and it would just run everywhere.
Yeah.
And you'd have like cotton swabs all
remember
wrapped
those,
around
remember
your
that?
head, and
Yeah.
it would just be dripping. And at the warehouse where we used to work, we recorded. There was production house, and there was also the beauty salon. That's where Earl would
Right.
work. And so I'm in there getting my hair done, and he comes in. We're cutting. I need your vocal now. And I looked up, and I'm like, right now? Right now.
Oh,
So then he goes, he takes a mirror, and he goes, take this mirror, put it in front of you, talk about the worst experience of your life, and pretend that you're reading a story to children. I'm going to press record.
oh,
I
geez.
started to cry. I couldn't hold it together. I was like, really?
Oh, man.
I don't really want to talk about it. I was just like, I really want to do it. It's like, stop crying. Stop crying. Just do it. And I was like, I don't really have a story. And he said, then make one up.
I put you on the spot.
Put you on the spot. But that was how I don't even remember what it was. I mean, I think we were doing Around the World in a Day, but I don't remember what track. I don't know what it was. I don't know I can't even remember. I paint and draw as well.
I remember that.
I did the mural in the house. I was drawing and painting the mural right off. I don't know if you were at the house in the Galpin house.
Yeah, I think
Were you ever
so.
there at the Galpin
Yeah,
house?
because I remember
Downstairs
the
in the studio, right off was the playroom, and there was this big empty wall, and I ended up doing this big mural. We recorded Crystal Ball. And he's even singing in Crystal Ball. My baby draws pictures of sex 7 days a week or something like that. And my baby's drawing pictures of sex on the wall in all four corners. And it's such a immersed, incredible experience, all of this. But I drew. I'd make whatever. I also did the album cover to The Dream Factory, and that never was released, but before we did Sign of the Times, that's a whole other thing. Anyway, so we're in Paris, and I'm drawing, and I draw this beautiful naked woman. She's beautiful. And he draws on it a big giant penis,
Oh, no.
right? So it's got a huge penis on it, and then he's got race cars underneath it and all sorts of stuff. And
You
I
ruined
kept
the
this
painting.
but I kept this painting forever, and he even puts his name on
Oh,
it.
good
He's
for
like
you.
Prince.
Good for you.
And so I have my children, and they're both at the age where they're snooping around my stuff.
Oh, my God.
And I decide I'm going to put that picture away so that they don't find it. Why? I don't know. I have no idea. I thought they were going to rip it or something.
Okay.
But I put it away, and I've never been able to find it.
Well, let's
No, I've looked everywhere. I've looked everywhere.
Your daughters
have looked
probably
anywhere.
have it somewhere.
No, I looked at
For
storage.
storage?
No, we've looked everywhere. But so I never found that. But I found this amazing cassette of him singing songs to me and talking to me on this cassette. And he's written his name on it, and he's got hearts and stars all over this thing to me, Susannah. And he's even singing, he even makes up a love song on the spot. He's just singing, and he's drinking wine, and he's drunk, and he's throwing his glass of wine on the piano. He's like all over the place. It's like he's literally having this conversation with me. And so in some ways I think
That's classic.
it's his way of like, you don't have that picture anymore, but you got this.
you got
Oh,
this.
man.
So I have it on my altar. I have this little cassette, like, I've got to get it burned. But I just found that recently. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I found that.
That's great.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
That's
Oh,
great.
man.
Yeah.
What great
But I can't believe
gifts.
it's literally killed me that I never
Do you
found
think
it.
he had it?
No, I took it. It was in my art book.
Oh, you
Because
gotta find it
we
somewhere.
did so much work, and I had
Yeah.
this beautiful book of drawings, and we were I was doing it. I mean, it was in Paris at the time after I'd always been into perfume since I was a little kid, wanted to be a nose. It was one of my dreams is to be a nose. And I used to make him oils. It was me who started making all these oils for him at a place in LA called Homebody. I don't know if you remember it.
I remember
on
that
Melrose.
place. Yes, of
Homebody.
course.
And I would go in there and spend hours with the ladies who own it, and I would make all these oils for people that I know, just to okay, there's like different things. And I made him tons of things. And anyway, so at this one time, he was like, well, it's time to really dig deep and make a perfume. So I spent some time in the south of France doing some research and trying to get, going to all these fragrance houses and seeing how I was going to do this. And
Fragonard.
Right, Fragonard and Molinard and all of that. Right, exactly. So, and I was designing the bottles and we were doing all this stuff. And so it was all in this book. And I thought, oh, I still have it. It's in my book,
Yes.
which is where it was.
Yes.
But I tore it out.
Oh.
And I don't know what I did with it because I hid it from the kids.
You hit it. You'll find it.
It's gone.
You'll find
I've
it.
been looking for it for 2 years.
You'll find it.
Yeah, I bet you'll
When
find
you
it.
least expect
You'd be like,
it'll
oh
go-
my God. You probably put it in another book.
I looked in every book I've owned. Every book I own, every book my sister owns, and every book my mom owned before she died. And even when she did die, I was looking did I hide it at their grandma's house? Like, did I put it under her mattress? Did I put it? No,
Thank you.
can't find it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to
So
put the energy
anyway,
out there to
put it out there, guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find it.
All right.
Gotta put some Palo Santo.
Okay. All right. So let's get back to it.
Yes.
So, when did Prince come to you about the family, and what was his initial idea to you? What was his initial pitch about the family and the concept and what he wanted to do?
I wasn't singing enough. I had been doing Apollonia 6 background vocals. I was doing B-sides for him, but not enough. And in some ways, like someone like myself, someone like Eric Leeds, and then the time breaking up, it was like there were all these amazing musicians and players around him. And he said, I think he felt responsible. He was like, I can't let these people down. And with that, and then the component of these are really talented people, and I also care about them, sparked the idea. And he came to me and said, what do you think about putting a band together with the members of the time, Paul, Jellybean. Everybody else was doing their own thing. It would be Paul and Jellybean and Jerome. And he said, and Eric. And he said, and what do you think if we call it The Family? And I was like, that would be fantastic. I'd love that. And that was it. It was like the opportunity came when Morris left, Jesse left, Terry and Jimmy left, the band, Monty left. Like it was done.
Yeah.
But then there were these relationships. Like he saw Paul as sort of like, there's the Duran Duran money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Paul
he
had
was
a great
like,
look.
Yeah, but he more than anything, the voice and his ability.
Yes.
From the Peterson family, like the kid could get on the keyboards and just tear it up, and then the voice, and also play guitar and bass. I mean, it was just like, here's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and a pretty boy, and a pretty boy
A
at that.
sweet gentleman, too.
Oh, just they don't get sweeter.
Yep.
And also Bean having such a long history with Prince, so talented, and he just didn't want to see, like anyone done that way. Like,
Yeah.
no, there has to be more. And I think it's that he felt that way about, like he had Eric at his disposal. And he was like, I just don't want to keep these people just hanging around.
Yeah.
I think he had an opportunity and he took it. And he was like, he'd already had this ideas for, he had Apollonia 6, he had The Time, no longer. And then he
Right.
had Vanity 6, but he was like, that's what he was also known for, these offshoots of his own
Right.
personality.
Yeah, like George.
Multi-layered person who, like, I want to make all these different kinds of records. So you guys will act as my persona.
Right.
You will then sort of like navigate my musical needs. You're going to go out there and do this.
Yep.
With the family, and I only say this for me, my own experience with it, is that we were all already like accomplished players in the industry wanting to do this for a living. Like, this is what we wanted to do. And in some respects, he didn't have to do much manipulating us. Like, you need to be this or you need to be that. He just put us together and like, I'm going to write these songs for this band. Not like even for him. He was really like, what is this? He was writing songs for this band. And then giving them to us and saying, go with David and do it. So you got a great Prince record, but you also got the family record because these players and these people really put their stamp on it.
Yeah.
So he got a really kind of beautiful group of people and got a great record out of it.
Yeah.
Really great record. So it's unfortunate we just never got another record out of it until much later, but
Yeah. It was a great record, and it didn't sound like anything that had come from.
No. And it wasn't, and a lot of it had to do with Claire Fisher, which was my father's relationship with Claire, because Claire was a string arranger, and my father was very good friends with Claire, and I grew up listening to Rufus and Shaka Khan, and all of those records were orchestrated by Claire.
Right.
And Prince and I were listening to a lot of Rufus. And once we'd finished doing basic tracks, we were in the car together, and I said something about Claire Fisher's arrangements on that record. And he was like, wouldn't it be great if we had strings on this? And I was like, I can make that happen. Ooh. And he said, how? And he said, my dad knows Claire really well. Oh. And it was a phone call to Claire from my dad.
And that was
And
it.
Claire said, yep. Wow. Sent the tracks to Claire, and that was it. And that was the beginning of all of it.
Wow.
For all of Prince's stuff, to have Claire do it. He would just send tape to Claire, and Claire would arrange it and put strings on it. But it was unusual in that it put another layer and another color to his music.
Yep.
But the first time having it be the family, like that's where it was introduced.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me ask a question. And I know this is a burning question I've always wanted to ask.
Oh my God.
How did you feel when Sinead O'Connor did Nothing Compares to You, and it became so damn big, and it was your damn song?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot of phone calls back and forth from Minnesota to LA, that's for sure.
Yep.
We were all like, oh,
What?
wow, really?
I hate it when it said that Prince wrote it for Sinead O'Connor, because it's like Prince
didn't.
did not
No.
write that for Sinead O'Connor.
he did
Prince
not
wrote
write
it
it.
for the family.
And it was written about me and Sandy Scipione. Sandy was his assistant at the time. We were at the warehouse, and we were recording at the warehouse. Paul was doing his vocal overdubs, and Prince went in to record Nothing Compares to You. He was really upset that Sandy had left because of the death of her father. Oh. And so he was flipping out. He didn't have Sandy there, and he was also having real problems with me. And I was staying at the Chanhassen Inn, and I wanted to go back to LA because I was the drama. Anyway, so he went in and wrote this, and then sent it to us the next day.
Wow. It was beautiful, though.
Yeah, so when Sinead did it, it's so interesting because I actually, when I met Sinead and we talked and we'd spent a lot of time together really early on. This was a couple years after she had done it, but she never mentioned it. She never mentioned it to me. It wasn't until I said, you know that that you should, like, that I was in that band, that's my band, that's the family. And she said, that's my favorite song in the record. And she still didn't say anything about our version of the song. Nothing. So, I just sort of left it alone. I mean, it was fine. And she's an artist and she's making $1 million. It's her thing. But we were all like, we should at least get, like, that was the family's, it's a great version on that record. Mm-hmm. And it was actually so beautiful. They released the originals, and I think Michael Howe was the guy, the engineer on that. Michael kept Prince's original vocal in there and put my vocal in there. So it's just me and him singing "Nothing Compares to You," and he's turned my vocal up on the track, and I cried like a baby when I heard it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Hearing the two of us sing that together in that way, it's way after the fact, but there is something so beautiful about it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else would feel that way listening to it, but I was so touched. I was like, oh, God, well, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially hearing it after, him not being here anymore. It must have been just so painful. I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
No, it was just profound.
Yeah.
It was profound.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah, and it wasn't I don't want to say that I've had grudges of any kind, although, no grudge about it. I just felt like not enough people know.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I did a show with Dave Grohl just before the pandemic, and his daughter Violet sings "Nothing Compares to You," and she'd only known Sinead's version of it.
Oh, no.
And I talked to him, and I was like, "Do you even know the family?" And he said, "No."
Right.
Do you even know that that was the original song on our record? No.
I'm surprised
So
that he didn't.
he didn't know, and neither did Greg Kurstin, who produced the Foo Fighters and just did back and everybody. But it was this big show. But I ended up telling him the story. But it was kind of interesting to know that there's a lot of people that just don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
They just don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they know
And I
now.
ended up singing. Violet came up and sang "Nothing Compares to You," and I sang it with her, which was kind of beautiful on this show. So that was actually
That's
beautiful.
cathartic.
Yeah, it was cathartic.
Well, I like, as I said, I'm a fan. So those are the kind of questions I've always thought, because I knew where it came from. So when I saw Sinead singing it, I'm like, wait a minute. You know what I mean?
I know. It is. It's
That's the family,
She and her manager John at the time. This is the story I got from her that was their favorite song on that record.
Yeah. And it wasn't too long after the family's version. That's the thing.
No.
It wasn't like it was 10, 15 years later.
No, it was shortly thereafter.
It wasn't too long.
What had ended up happening is that she stopped. I think she and John, her manager at the time, split.
Yeah.
And Steve Farnolli became her manager. And Steve
That's right.
brought it to her and was like, we're going to make this happen for you. Okay. She loved the song.
Okay.
And so he was like, of course you can do a cover of that. Of course. It'd be fantastic for you. So I'm sure Steve encouraged it.
Right.
Okay.
That was so soon. I still remember watching MTV. I still remember, and I stood right like this.
I know, just
close.
watching it going like, wow.
I was like, what? Wow. And I was like, but that's not her
I know.
song. And then, of course, the shaved head and the tears. And
I know.
I was like transfixed, but at the same time, I was like, I like it, but I don't. It's not her. I was
I didn't
surprised.
like it, actually. I got it. I mean, she's, that face and her, and her, the energy that she put behind the lyric and what she's doing. And she sings the, that last part of the verse, she's given that growl and that thing that she does, which only Sinead can do. I get why it became so big. The definitive Prince song for Sinead O'Connor, no, not for me. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people are finding out now. You know. I mean,
So let me ask another question. Am I asking too many
no,
questions?
please go.
Okay, let me ask another question.
sure.
Yeah.
So, was there ever a song that Prince did or a song, I'll just say, was there ever a song that came out that you thought to yourself, I really think I wrote more of that than I probably didn't get any credit for? Or were you like, I wrote a good portion of that and my name isn't on it? Have you ever experienced that?
No.
Okay.
We've talked about this.
No.
Okay.
I'm really honest about what I did do.
Okay.
I can say as a singer,
Yes.
I contributed so much.
Yes.
As the songwriter,
Yes.
no, only a few things. And that's
Okay.
already public and what I've done.
Good.
But in terms of, do people know how much I've done and the work that I've done?
Yes.
Not as many as I would hope, but like
Yes.
I am, the work that I did do, some of the most important records
Yes.
during the time that we were together were done in a very short period of time. And 5 records were done in a 2-year period.
Yeah.
And I'm all over all of them.
Yep.
I know that Jill's on a lot of it too, but I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
I worked all the time and I was doing, and it's all on tape. So, and I do feel incredibly proud of that.
Yes.
To be part of that, to do that kind of work. As a matter of fact, I wrote a piece called "Make Your Mama Happy." It's called "Finger Symbols," and you can find it on my sites and stuff. I'm singing the background on "Make Your Mama Happy" and the story behind finger symbols, and David Coleman, who has taught himself how to speak Arabic, and he the darbuka and played cello, and he introduced Prince to all of that music, but gave Prince his finger symbols, and he always had these finger symbols in the studio.
Yeah.
And so, going in, and the story behind that is big. And then when you record something like that, and then he says, okay, you're going to do the background vocals on this. And there was many of those where I was like, Susan and I would go in and I get to do the background vocals on that. I mean, it's like to love somebody and to work with somebody
Wow.
and to have the life that I had and to do this kind of creative stuff is super rare. And I honor that. Like but I don't pretend to write his songs.
Yes.
No. No, I wouldn't say that. I could say many of them written about me, hands down, no doubt about it.
Yes.
I have no problem saying what song's about me, clearly.
Yeah.
Being there when it's done,
Right.
and I no problem with that. I have no problem saying what I sang on and how proud I am of that,
Yes.
but I would never say that I wrote something that I didn't write.
Right. I was telling Seth that I feel that many of us who did write lyrics, on a lot of the vocals, and like Jill, is that I really feel that for a lot of us, we were like all the Camille Claudels, and he's Rodin. He gives you, the paintbrush, and and you create the statues, and then he signs it at the end in the movie. Remember?
Yeah,
when
Rodin
Camille-
says it. Yeah.
and then he signs it, Rodin.
Rodin.
And when I saw that movie, I was like, ah! I remember it hit me. And I saw the movie with Kevin. We were, dating, I think, at the time. And I said, that's just like, and he goes, I know. He already
Right.
knew.
Right.
And it hit me in the theater watching this, because it was just like, but we had this conversation, Susanna and I, on the phone. And she just said, I don't understand how he didn't give, me credit for particular things. And I said, but that's the way he was. One moment, you guys were, with your starfish. And I mean, that's great. And then there's, the Jills, the Apollonias that, we didn't get the credit. But that's just how he was,
But then he would get credit to some, and you'd be like, and I would get the
Right.
big question mark, like, well, how did that work?
Right.
So you never knew. I mean, there was a very rare person that was like,
Right.
be straight up. A lot of times when you were working with him back in the days that we were working with him, you were reminded quite frequently, you're lucky to be here.
Yeah.
You're lucky to be here.
I certainly felt lucky. I was so grateful still to this day. You know, I look and, you know, the music comes on, right? And I'm like, oh, man. Oh. You know, you're at Ralph's pushing a cart, you know, and one of the songs comes on and you're just
Yeah,
like,
when I hear Raspberry Beret and I'm like
Yeah.
out somewhere and I'm like, that's all of us. Like, I can't believe, you know, like,
Yeah.
just nobody knows as I'm shuffling my cart around
Yeah,
and like, you
exactly.
know, like,
Right.
got my Uggs on.
Right.
None of y'all know.
I'm so glad. I mean, like, it's fine. I'm so glad I'm not the only one doing that at Ralph's, right? Yeah. I used
None
to
of
be
you
a
know.
sex shooter.
I know. It's so funny.
Toss him over his shoulder.
Oh, do your boobs hang low? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie 'em in a knot? Can you tie 'em in a bow? Can you throw 'em over your shoulder like a continental shoulder? Do your boobs hang low?
Oh, yeah. I'm collecting dust bunnies now. Oh, man. Such great stories. And I know that there's so much more, but you've been in films.
Yes.
Skin and Bone.
Yeah.
Caved
Rupert
Dweller.
Efford, Cave Dweller.
Tell me about these.
Yes, I got into acting. Had a great agent who for a minute, and I became close with this great director, independent director, and he kind of used me on a few things. And his films, sort of like homoerotic, interesting, weird films, and I'm all about that. Like, I'm completely fine with that.
Right.
But he had me do like 3 of his films.
Wow.
Because I saw the name and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness. I was like, she's been making movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't get paid a cent. But like, but I
Fun,
didn't
though.
care.
But in the vein of that, most people, I think most Prince fans know, I knew that you were supposed to be the leading lady in Under the Cherry Moon.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about that. Let's talk about that.
So yes, yeah, it was all designed. I mean, mind you, yes. Okay, so I can't give you all the prehistory, but I'll just
Okay.
tell you, like,
Okay.
yes. So I was supposed to be the lead in Cherry Moon.
Mary Sharon, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah. Where should I begin? Just to give you some context. I think I'm just going to shoot to Paris. So
Okay.
we're in Paris, and we're ready to scout locations. That's why we're there. We're going to end up flying to the south of France, but he wants to be in Paris for a week or two. And I'm like, yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all good with that. And we were staying at the Crillon, the most beautiful hotel.
Yeah.
And we have this great room overlooking the Arc de Triomphe.
Oh.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful time. And we're there having the best time.
Oh,
And it's
romantic.
I've never seen him so relaxed
Really?
and so connected in a way he'd never been. Like,
Man.
we were playing guitar together in our socks and underwear on the bed, and just, and calling my sister and Lisa. He wanted to call them, like, and this is not something he would normally do, is like, let's call a bunch of people that we know together and like have fun. It just, not that way.
Yeah.
So we were like, he's like, let's call Wendy and Lisa. And I'm like, well, we're in Paris and they're in LA, so it's going to be a little, he's like, wake them up. So we would do things, we're just having a really great boyfriend-girlfriend time.
Yeah.
Really connecting. Like,
Yeah.
just like, couldn't be better.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to go to Nice to scout some locations. But it's 5:00 in the morning. I'm asleep. He's awake, and he comes and wakes me up. Can I talk? I can wake up. And I turn over and I look at him, and he's as pale as a ghost. And I sort of sit up. And I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm okay." "Can you come here for a minute?" I said, "Sure." And so we go outside on the patio as the sun is coming up through the Arc de Triomphe.
Wow.
And he sits me up on top of the ledge. And he sits there and he looks at me and he takes my hands. He says, "I have something I want to tell you." And I'm like, okay. He said, I don't want you to be in the movie. I was like,
Yeah.
and I thought, okay, what? It's what are you doing here? What's happening now? I don't want you to be in the movie. I want you to be my wife.
Oh.
And I was like,
Whoa, what?
Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm just waking up. I've got mascara down to here. I'm a mess. And which made it even more beautiful because that wasn't normal for, we were pretty much always put together. And this trip was not about being put together. There was something about we were revealing each other to each other in a way that I'd never seen him. I know he'd not seen me this way. It just had never happened, this really intimate. And so it came in the most authentic way. And I said yes. I was like,
Oh.
yes, yes. And we proceeded to have this glorious few days. And he said, and then we talked a little bit more and he was like, I'm going to go do the scouting and we are going to look at other people for the part. And I just want you to know that that's what's going to happen. And he said, and it's, the film company needs a bigger name anyway, even though that's not necessary because it's my movie and I can do what I want. And I was like, it's okay. It's really okay. And then he got some tapes the following day and Kristen Scott Thomas was in one of those tapes and he loved Jacqueline Bisset.
Yes.
And so he thought she looked like Jacqueline Bisset to him.
Yeah.
At that time. There was something about her. And he loved her sort of erudite ways. And it was great. So, and I was, at that point, I was just like, okay, I didn't want to, I was like, yeah.
What are you going to do?
I'm fine. Yeah, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I was fine. I was fine with it.
Yeah.
And just before he passed away, about 2 weeks, and I reached out to you to find out, like, is he okay? 2 weeks before the Moline situation. And I called Apple and I said, is he okay? What's going on? She's like, I think he's okay. I just got word he's okay. But I was like, it doesn't sound right. But then 2 weeks later, cut two. But just in that, between that two period of when he passed, from when that Moline and then when he passed, I got a call from him saying he wanted to write with me again. And he'd been feeling incredibly reminiscent and he was reflective. And I know towards the end of his life, incredibly reflective, not reflexive, reflective of the people he's loved in the past. His, who are the real people? I mean, I can only imagine what he was going through. I mean, people who have situations, who are faced with painkillers and they're, we won't get into it, but whatever he was going through, he was feeling reflective. And so he was reaching out to people. I don't know if he did to you, but he was reaching out and saying, I want to, let's go in the studio. I want to write. And he sent me a couple of tracks. And I was like, it's really not me. But he was like, it's fine, which was not like him at all to say, no, that's fine. I just wanted to send something to you saying, I'm ready to go in the studio. And I said, no, I have other ideas. I'd love to do this with you. And so he passed.
Awesome lady.
Thank you. You too.
Absolutely. Love you to death.
Likewise,
So
little
many
one.
years, man.
Oh my God.
So do you have your favorite
Oh
part
yes, I gotta.
What do you have?
Hit you with my 10 questions, and then I'm going to have to
You have a 10 question?
now? Yeah.
questions.
Really?
And
This
then I'm
is
have
really
to hit
fun.
you with the story behind this beautiful thing.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So I hit all of our guests with this 10 questions. We'll do kind of a lightning round on this.
Okay.
Here. 10 questions.
Okay.
Tell me one thing about you that most people don't know.
I'm shy.
What's the best part about being Susannah Melvoin?
Being a mother.
Oh.
What's been the most challenging part about being Susannah Melvoin?
Being divorced.
What's been your highest career point to date?
Oh boy. I don't have one.
Okay.
And I'm really honestly, because I'm too fortunate.
Okay.
I don't see one particular apex, like that's the thing that defined it.
Okay.
That I even got a chance to be in this industry with the gift that I have. That's the apex. That's it.
What's been your biggest career regret?
That I didn't do solo record, Susannah Melvoin record.
What do you think the biggest public misconception is about you?
I don't know, but I can only imagine that it is that I'm a millionaire living high in the hog.
What's the craziest rumor you've ever heard about yourself?
That I was a Playboy model.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at 15.
Oh.
Yeah.
If sex were a food, what food would it be for you?
Good question. I'm a foodie, so I love food. Oof. If sex were a food, what would it be? Soft serve vanilla ice cream with chocolate sprinkles.
Ooh.
If you could trade places with one person for a day, who would it be and why?
I would have to say he's not living anymore, but if I would think it would be Joseph Campbell. And I say Joseph Campbell because I would love to be able to see the world in mythology, and how it plays into our lives, and find the stories and meaning.
Okay.
And because the struggle, not knowing and not having that, not having that brain. I would love to have that brain for a day.
Okay.
Yeah, Joseph Campbell.
All right. And this last one is a finish this sentence.
Okay.
If I could do it all over again, I would.
If I could do it all over again, I would stand up for myself more. Get mine. Not worry about other people so much.
Yep.
Powerful.
Because I do watch out for others more than I do myself.
Yep.
I wonder what that would have turned out to be if I hadn't. But, I am who I am because of it. So, but I suppose that it would have been interesting to have more balls, I guess, just be more sort of like, I'm going to get mine.
Yeah.
'Cause I just didn't do it enough. Just didn't. From like work to relationships.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you agree with her? I concur. I think there's many of us in this industry, women, we put everybody first always, and then, everybody, and we're always last, right?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Always.
I think we're programmed, I think women too, to say, you can't do it yourself.
That's true.
Can't do it alone. You got to have other people. And so you're like, well, who are those other people I'm supposed to have around me to help me get there? And there is nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
It is only you.
That's right.
But I've been searching for those other people to help me get to that other place.
Yeah.
And it's never going to happen. Folks, it's never going to happen, never going to happen. You do it yourself.
That's right.
No one is there for you. No matter what they say, no one's taking you there.
That's right. Pearls of wisdom.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
So then the last thing is,
Yes.
for our fans, we always have people sign beautiful 8x10s or movie posters. And this is probably one of the most iconic 8x10s of you. So why don't you tell us, first of all, the story behind this beautiful picture of Miss Susannah Melvoin?
Gorgeous.
Wow. We were shooting the inner sleeve of the family album.
Mm-hmm.
Prince took this shot. Just want you to all know. Prince took all the shots on the inside cover.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
And so this was a gazebo right on Malibu Lake.
Wow.
And Prince and I walked by ourselves to this little gazebo, and he was like, just going to take some pictures. He was super sweet, too. It was just really he was very kind, and he loved taking photographs. He just loved the camera.
Yeah.
So
Just so beautiful.
this is actually a really beautiful shot because some of them were not great at all. And when I went to the office to look at the negatives,
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh God, these are terrible." I was like, but this, and I was so glad that he chose this because I wasn't allowed to pick any of the pictures. He picked them all.
He picked all of them.
He picked them all.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I had no
gorgeous.
say in any of it.
Beautiful.
We had a coffee table book of Horst photographs.
Oh.
And Horst, we were like, let's get Horst to shoot this. And because we had this whole thing about, we loved old black and white films in Hollywood. Right. We loved all the old black and white films. We just loved old Hollywood. Loved the stories, loved the scripts, loved all of it. And there's that one famous shot that Horst does of the back with the bodice on that's really tight. You see that
Yes,
woman's
Madonna
back.
duplicated that.
Yes, she duplicated that.
Yep.
And it was because of that photograph that we called Horst, and it was literally the last photo shoot he did before he passed away.
No.
Was the family.
No.
Oh, wow.
He was like 92 years old, and he had his assistant come on the set.
Oh, man.
And we rented this house in Pasadena for the photo shoot that's got this great sort of like beautiful
wow.
Hollywood staircase that's inside the front of the house right when you open the door. And he was just this sweet little old man who could, he wasn't really even behind the camera that much. He just sort of looked in there and had his assistant do the whole thing. And got a couple of shots.
Wow.
And Prince walks in, he was like, nah, And he moves Horst over and he gets behind Horst's camera. And he starts taking pictures. And I was literally like, gulp. I was like, oh, please. And you could tell Horst was like, I'm sure no one had ever done that. Ever. To him before. And Horst was like, no, I want it a certain way. And he he took a few pictures of himself of that setup.
Right.
Oh.
And I don't know. I know the front cover shot was Horst, but I think a couple of the black and white shots on the inside were Prince. He took it from Horst to do it himself.
Wow.
So, but yeah.
That's a great story, though.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, it's a legend.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I was like, gulp. Oy.
Wow.
But yeah, Prince loved taking photos, and he took some great pictures this day. Really great.
Beautiful.
Well, we're going to
Look at
have...
those eyebrows.
I know, huh?
Boy, I had some great eyebrows. Where are they now? What happened?
I know mine are on my chin.
We're going to have some great contests for the fams, and we're going to do some giveaways of these beautiful 8x10s for some of our biggest Susannah Melvoin fans out there. And I just want to say thank you so much for spending this time with us this evening. This has been an absolute pleasure for me.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Miss
You're
Susannah.
welcome, my darling.
I love you, my sister, my family.
I love you. I love you.
Thank you.
I love you more.
it's an honor. I can't believe this. Here we are, all grown up, and here we are talking and creating.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. We love you.
We love you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Great show. We'll see you soon.
Yes,
Thank
we will.
you.
All right. Thank you. You want official Apollonia merchandise? Visit ApolloniaKotero.store and ApolloniaKotero.com.